We live in one of the most beautiful places on Earth, where the rainforest meets the reef. We are surrounded by a pristine environment that is teeming with unique flora and fauna for which we have a duty to protect and sustain. And this goes for our water too. We hope by the end of this journey, you will see why every drop counts. We're incredibly proud of the quality of our drinking water. A lot of hard work has gone into building infrastructure that not only supports our customers, but also respects the pristine rainforest environment that our water comes from. In this video, we're going to unpack the journey your water takes from the source all the way to the tap in your home. And you'll meet the people who play an active role in maintaining and supplying this essential service. There are 3 intakes that supply water to customers within Douglas Shire. Daintree Intake, located at Intake Creek. Wyenbeil Intake, located at Little Falls Creek. And Mossman Intake, located at Rex Creek. Let's explore the journey your water takes from the Mossman Intake all the way to your home. It all begins here at Rex Creek, which is a tributary of the Mossman River and forms part of the Mossman Gorge. Flowing down from the mountains, the water first ends up here at the intake. It's pretty quiet at the moment, but during the wet season, this whole area can be submerged by raging waters thundering through, smashing against the giant boulders and creek banks before heading downstream and through the gorge.
We try to be here 3 times a week. This is a water catchment area for the greater Mossman area, and we've got to make sure things are clean, all the infrastructure is still in good shape. We have the throat which collects the water, and then it's virtually just a channel which leads down to where the actual, what we call the intake, screens itself, which filters the water into town.
And this is where the real journey begins. Next stop, the Mossman Water Treatment Plant. The water treatment plant is where all water extracted at Rex Creek Intake is treated. And here is the same mains pipe we followed from the intake going into the treatment plant. Like all water service providers around Australia, we follow very strict national standards to ensure that our drinking water is clean and treated to the highest standards to protect public health. It's a process with many steps along the way, including filtering, testing and treating. Let's show you what we do. Turbidity levels are checked at the intake, in the trunk main, and then at the treatment plant. Turbidity, cloudy water, is caused by silt, clay and other organic and inorganic matter being churned up in the creek, creating higher levels of fine particles in the water. High turbidity can cause damage to filters and wear them out quicker, which can be costly. If there is high turbidity in the water, it is passed through a hydrocyclone which spins the water very fast to throw out the fine particulate from the water to remove it from the supply being processed. Where turbidity is low, the first stage is for the water to pass through the pre-filters which remove the larger particles in the water. After pre-filtration, water passes through one of the many ultrafiltration membranes, or UF cartridges, to filter out any smaller particulate and organics that have made it through the previous stages. All 3 water treatment plants use UF cartridges to filter the water to remove any particulate and bacteria or microorganisms that remain in the water at this stage.
It's an ultrafiltration cartridge that filters our raw water that comes into the plant through little hollow, basically straws. The hollow straws that are in the cartridges, they filter out any pathogens, E. coli, remaining turbidity that may have got past the pre-filters.
Before being sent to customers and to comply with drinking water legislation, the water must contain a small quantity of chlorine to ensure no harmful bacteria or microorganisms are present through the long journey to customers' taps. To achieve this, the 2 clear water reservoirs that supply the Mossman and Port Douglas localities are dosed with chlorine. Now the drinking water is ready for the next stage of its journey. Located inside the treatment plant, the control room is manned by the water quality team who manage the various automated control points for all 3 water treatment plants. This includes control areas from the intakes all the way to the treated water reservoirs located throughout the network. Water quality and reservoir levels are constantly checked to ensure that supply can meet demand, and any alerts at display are acted upon immediately to mitigate any impacts on supply.
So today we're looking at extraction rates from the intake. We have licence limits, which is a legal requirement, which means we can't take out more than our licence allows us. So we monitor that 24/7. Since we've been making advances in our infrastructure, we've introduced a backwash recovery plant. In the past, with backwashes, we used to send it all to sewage. With the backwash water now, we're able to recycle, retreat and reuse, which puts less pressure on our extraction limits at our intakes.
As well as the system checks and testing that occur at the treatment plants, there are regular tests done by Council's Environmental Technical Officer. Samples are taken from designated sites throughout the water network to check pH levels, chlorine, and any other parameters required to be tested. Some tests are done at the site, and other samples are taken back to the lab for in-house testing at the Douglas lab, or are sent to a NATA-accredited laboratory for verification testing. Once the water has finished its cycle through the treatment plant, it begins its journey to one of the many reservoirs in the region. Let's follow the water to Port Douglas for the next stage. This is the Crees Road Reservoir, which holds 20 million litres when full. That's 8 Olympic swimming pools in volume. This is where water is stored and restocked before continuing on its journey to customers in Port Douglas and Craigley.
This reservoir is 20 million litres and it has enough capacity to supply the town for 2 days.
Now it's time for the final journey. This is the water that ends up coming all the way to your home. Each time you have a drink of water, a shower, or water the garden, know that you've got a huge team of people there ensuring your water is the cleanest and healthiest it can be. Douglas Shire Council has a commitment to providing great drinking water and is proud of the water quality and service delivered to the community. We all know that water is precious, and we can all play our part by being water wise. Help us to help you make every drop count.